High Ambassador Zeltrix waited aboard his flagship with complete confidence. He had done this many times before. He had brought dozens of species into the Empire, and they had all said yes eventually. Some took longer than others, but the result was always the same. No civilization could refuse what the Empire offered. The gifts were too valuable, and the alternative was too frightening. He spent the week studying human culture through their radio and television broadcasts. He found them fascinating in a primitive way. They made art and music. They told stories about heroes and villains. They dreamed of traveling to the stars. Most interestingly, they had a long history of fighting each other. War seemed to be part of their nature. Commander Veth, his chief advisor, entered his chambers on the 6th day. "Ambassador, I have completed my analysis of human military capabilities." Zeltrix gestured for him to continue. "They have nuclear weapons capable of destroying their own cities, but nothing that could scratch our shields. Their space fleet consists of 12 vessels, none of which have weapons designed for ship-to-ship combat. Their ground forces are large, but equipped with projectile weapons that would be useless against our armor." Veth paused. "In short, we could conquer their entire planet in less than one standard rotation." "I expected as much," Zeltrix said. "But conquest is messy. It damages resources and creates resentment. It is always better when species join us willingly." "Do you think they will?" Zeltrix smiled, a gesture he had learned from studying human expressions. "They have no choice. They will say yes." On the 7th day, Captain Daniel Brooks requested a communication link with the Valtorian flagship. His face appeared on Zeltrix's viewscreen, calm and composed as always. Behind him, his bridge crew stood at attention. "Ambassador Zeltrix," Daniel began, "I have received a response from the United Earth government regarding your generous offer." Zeltrix leaned forward in his chair. "Please, Captain, share the good news." Daniel took a deep breath. He had rehearsed this moment many times, but it still felt unreal. The words he was about to speak would change human history forever, for better or worse. "The people of Earth have voted," he said. "The vote was close, but the decision is final. We must respectfully decline your offer." Zeltrix did not move. His translator implant processed the words, but they made no sense. He asked Captain Brooks to repeat himself. "We decline," Daniel said again. "Humanity appreciates your offer of technology and protection. We understand the benefits of joining your empire, but we cannot accept terms that require us to surrender our sovereignty. We will find our own path among the stars. We will develop our own technology at our own pace. We will remain free." Zeltrix felt something he had not experienced in centuries: confusion. His translator implant actually malfunctioned for a moment, unable to process the concept of refusal. No species had ever said no. Not once in 3,000 years. "Perhaps you do not understand," Zeltrix said slowly, as if speaking to a child. "We are offering you gifts beyond your imagination. Without our help, it will take your species hundreds of years to achieve what we can give you today. Millions of your people will die from diseases we can cure. Your planet will continue to suffer from energy shortages and environmental damage. You will remain trapped in your little solar system while the galaxy moves on without you." "We understand completely," Daniel replied. "And we still say no." Commander Veth stepped forward. "Show them," he whispered to Zeltrix. "Show them our true power. They are simply ignorant of what they face." Zeltrix nodded and activated a holographic display. It appeared in space between the two vessels, visible from the Endurance's bridge. The display showed the Valtorian war fleet in all its terrible glory. 10,000 ships, each one capable of destroying planets. Weapons that could tear holes in space itself. Armies of soldiers equipped with technology that seemed like magic. This is what stands behind our offer, Zeltrix said. We could take your planet by force. We could enslave your entire species. We choose to offer friendship instead. Surely you can see the wisdom of accepting. Lieutenant Katie Morgan stared at the display, her face pale. The other crew members shifted nervously. The message was clear. Accept or be destroyed. Daniel Brooks looked at the hologram for a long moment. Then he turned to face his crew. He saw fear in their eyes, but he also saw something else. He saw determination. He saw pride. He saw the same stubborn spirit that had carried humanity through ice ages, plagues, and world wars. He turned back to the view screen. Ambassador, I want to tell you something about my species. We have been conquered before. Throughout our history, empires have risen and fallen on our little planet. Some lasted for centuries. They seemed invincible in their time, but they all fell eventually, because there is something in humans that cannot accept chains. We fight, we resist. We never give up, even when victory seems impossible. Zeltrix listened in silence. Your empire is impressive, Daniel continued. Your technology is beyond anything we have ever seen. You could probably destroy us without much effort. But I promise you this. If you try, we will fight you. Every single human being will fight you. We will fight you in space and on the ground. We will fight you in our cities and in our mountains. We will teach our children to fight you, and they will teach their children. We will never stop. We will never surrender. And eventually, somehow, we will win. The bridge of the Eternal Dominion was completely silent. Commander Veth looked at his ambassador, waiting for orders to attack. But Zeltrix did not give them. Instead, he studied the human captain with new eyes. He had seen determination before in species that resisted the Empire. It usually faded once they understood the futility of their position. But this was different. This human truly believed what he was saying. He was willing to die, and to let his entire species die, rather than accept servitude. It was foolish. It was irrational. It was completely self-destructive. And yet, Zeltrix found himself feeling something unexpected: respect. Very well, Captain, he said finally. We will not force you to join us. The Empire does not need unwilling members. But know this, without our protection, your species is vulnerable. There are dangers in the galaxy that you cannot imagine. Predators who prey on young civilizations like yours. When they come for you, and they will come, remember that you chose to stand alone. Daniel nodded. We'll take our chances. The communication ended. The Voltorian fleet remained in position around the Endurance for several hours, as if unsure what to do next. Then, one by one, they moved away and took positions at the edge of the solar system. They did not leave. They were watching, waiting. On the bridge of the Endurance, Katie Morgan let out a breath she had been holding for what felt like hours. Captain, what just happened? Daniel Brooks sat down in his command chair and picked up his cold coffee. His hands were shaking slightly, but his voice was steady. We just told the most powerful empire in the galaxy to go away, he said. Now we have to prove we can survive without them. He looked out at the stars, beautiful and terrifying and full of unknown dangers. Let's get to work. Deep in the asteroid belt between Mars and Jupiter, there was a place that did not exist. No map showed it. No record mentioned it. Ships that flew too close were gently redirected by automated systems that apologized for the inconvenience. For 300 years, this place had waited in the darkness, growing stronger with each passing decade. Admiral Kevin Torres stood on the observation deck of Station Omega, watching his fleet wake up. Around him, lights flickered on across 1,000 sleeping warships. Engines hummed to life. Weapons systems ran their first tests in centuries. It was like watching giants open their eyes after a very long sleep. Commander Lisa Grant walked up beside him. She was young for her rank, with sharp eyes and steady hands. She had trained her whole life for a war she hoped would never come. "How does it feel?" she asked. Kevin thought about it. "Sad," he said finally. "Sad that it came to this. But also ready. We have been ready for a very long time." Lisa nodded. She understood. Every person in the human military understood. They were not warriors who loved battle. They were guardians who had hoped their weapons would never be needed. But hope was not a strategy, and now the time for hoping was over. "The crew assignments are complete," Lisa reported. "All 12 battle groups will be fully staffed within 48 hours. The stealth systems are online. The new weapons have been loaded. What about the Vectory? Any sign they suspect anything?" "None. Their patrols continue as normal. Their military bases are operating without increased alert status. They have no idea what is coming." Kevin allowed himself a small, grim smile. The Vectory were a proud species. They had conquered a dozen worlds through violence and fear. Their ships were powerful, their warriors were fierce, and they believed themselves to be among the strongest species in the galaxy. They had looked at humanity and seen only weakness. A species that talked instead of fighting. A species that asked permission instead of taking what they wanted. They had made a terrible mistake. On the Vectory homeworld, a planet called Vecros Prime, Admiral Krovax was having a very good day. His office was decorated with trophies from conquered worlds. Weapons, flags, even a few skulls. He liked to look at them while he worked. They reminded him of his victories. His aide, a young officer named Threll, entered with a report. "The human colony has been fully processed, Admiral. The planet is ready for settlement." Krovax grunted with satisfaction. "Any response from the humans?" Their ambassador made a speech at the council. She seemed upset, but the council ruled in our favor, as expected. Of course they did. The humans are too weak to matter. They have no real military. They have no stomach for war. They will complain, and then they will do nothing, because doing nothing is all they know how to do. There was one strange thing, Admiral. Oh? The humans sent a message to the council. They said they are withdrawing from all peace accords. They said they recommend non-interference. Krovax laughed. It was a harsh sound, like rocks grinding together. Non-interference? What will they do if we interfere? Send us a strongly worded letter? Thrall laughed too, because he knew he was supposed to. Keep watching them anyway, Krovax said. Weak species sometimes do stupid things when they are scared. I want to know if they try anything foolish. Yes, Admiral. Thrall left, and Krovax returned to his work. He had plans to make. More worlds to conquer. The humans were already forgotten. 3 days later, something strange began to happen along the Vectory border. Sensor stations started reporting small glitches. Readings that did not make sense. Empty space that seemed to flicker and shift. The technicians ran diagnostics and found nothing wrong with their equipment. They reported the anomalies to their superiors, who told them not to worry. Space was full of strange things. It was probably just solar radiation or magnetic interference. But the glitches kept happening. And they kept moving closer. Commander Lisa Grant watched the Vectory border from the bridge of the constellation. Around her, the ship was completely silent. Every light was dimmed. Every system was running at minimum power. The stealth field wrapped around them like a blanket, bending light and sensors away from their hull. How close are we? She asked quietly. 12,000 kilometers from their main sensor station, her navigator whispered back. They have no idea we are here. Lisa felt her heart beating fast in her chest. They were deep inside enemy territory now. If the stealth field failed, they would be surrounded by Vectory warships in minutes. But the field held. It had been designed by the finest engineers humanity had ever produced, tested and refined over 3 centuries of secret development. She thought about the people of New Cascadia. She thought about the children who had never had a chance to grow up. She thought about the message the Vectory had sent to the galaxy. We can kill whoever we want, and no one will stop us. Someone was about to stop them. All ships report ready, her communications officer said. We are in position. Lisa opened the channel to Admiral Torres. Strike Group 1 is ready, Admiral. Awaiting your order. Across Vectory space, 47 other strike groups sent the same message. They had slipped past every defense, avoided every patrol, positioned themselves at every military target of importance. The Vectory had no idea that death was already among them. Waiting patiently for the word to begin, Kevin Torres stood on the bridge of his flagship. He looked at the tactical display, showing all his forces in position. He thought about President Cole, who had given this order with tears in his eyes. He thought about Elena Marsh, who had tried so hard to find peace and had been answered with fire. All ships, he said, his voice steady and calm. Execute Operation Reckoning. May God forgive us for what we are about to do. The fleet moved as one, and the Vectory finally learned what humanity looked like when it stopped being peaceful. Captain Nathan Perry had dreamed of this moment for 30 years. Not because he wanted war, not because he enjoyed violence, but because he had seen the reports from New Cascadia. He had watched the recordings. He had seen what the Vectory did to helpless people, and he had sworn that one day, somehow, there would be justice. Today was that day. The constellation dropped out of stealth 12 kilometers above the Vectory Central Command Station. For exactly 2 seconds, the Vectory sensors registered their presence. Officers shouted in confusion. Alarms began to wail. Hands reached for weapons controls. 2 seconds was not enough time. The constellation fired once. A beam of pure white light struck the station at its center. There was no explosion. There was no fire. The station simply came apart, molecule by molecule, dissolving into a cloud of glowing particles that scattered into the void. Nathan watched it happen with grim satisfaction. Target destroyed. Move to secondary objective. Around him, his crew worked with quiet efficiency. They had trained for this moment their entire lives. Every movement was precise. Every command was clear. There was no hesitation, no fear. Only the cold determination of people doing a job that needed to be done. Across Vectory space, the same scene repeated 47 times. Military shipyards vanished in flashes of light. Weapons factories crumbled into dust. Orbital defense platforms went dark and still. The Vectory war machine, which had terrorized a dozen species, was being taken apart piece by piece. On Vecros Prime, Admiral Krovax was in his office when the first reports came in. He did not believe them. That is impossible, he said. Check your sensors. Run the diagnostics again. We have checked them 7 times, Admiral. The results are the same. Our orbital shipyard is gone. Our defense station is gone. Our weapons depot is gone. All destroyed within the same minute. By whom? Who is this kind of power? The communications officer looked at his screen with wide, terrified eyes. The human fleet, Admiral. They are everywhere. They were already inside our borders when the attack began. Krovax felt something he had not felt in a very long time. Fear. Real fear. Cold and sharp, spreading through his chest like poison. How many ships? He demanded. We cannot get an accurate count. Their stealth technology is beyond anything we have ever seen. But based on the attack patterns, we estimate at least 2,000 warships. Maybe more. 2,000. The humans were supposed to have less than 50 combat-capable vessels. That was what every intelligence report had said. That was what the Council believed. That was why no one had worried about them. "Get me the Council," Kovacs said. "Get me the Aldani. Get me anyone who will listen. Tell them we are under attack. Tell them we need help." But help was not coming. Not because the Council did not want to help, but because there was nothing they could do. By the time the emergency message reached the Galactic Council chambers, the battle was already over. Admiral Torres received the final reports 4 hours after the attack began. He stood on his bridge, surrounded by his officers, and read the numbers in silence. 47 military installations destroyed, Lisa said. 112 warships neutralized. The Vectori have no remaining capacity to project force beyond their home system. Civilian casualties? None confirmed. We targeted only military assets as ordered. All civilian infrastructure was left intact. Torres nodded slowly. This was important. Humanity was not here to commit genocide. They were not here to become the monsters they were fighting. They had come to deliver a message, not to exterminate a species. Our losses? 7 wounded, none seriously. All ships accounted for. No fatalities. Torres closed his eyes. 7 wounded against an entire military machine. The Vectori had never stood a chance. They had built their empire on fear and violence, and they had assumed everyone else was as weak as their victims. They had never imagined that someone might be waiting, quietly preparing, building weapons that made theirs look like children's toys. "Send the message," Torres said. "Let them know what happened and why." The message was broadcast to every ship, every station, every planet in Vectori space. It was also sent to the Galactic Council, so there could be no misunderstanding. "This is Admiral Kevin Torres of the United Human Fleet. As of this moment, the military capability of the Vectori Dominion has been eliminated. This action was taken in response to the unprovoked destruction of the human colony of New Cascadia, which resulted in the deaths of 4 million innocent people. We have not targeted civilian infrastructure or population centers. We have no intention of occupying Vectori territory or interfering with civilian governance. However, any attempt to rebuild military capacity will be met with immediate and overwhelming response. This concludes humanity's answer to New Cascadia. We recommend that the galaxy take notice." On Vecros Prime, the message played on every screen. Kovacs listened to it in stunned silence. Around him, his staff wept openly. Their fleet was gone. Their power was gone. Everything they had built through centuries of conquest had been swept away in a single afternoon. "How?" Kovacs whispered. "How did they do this? How did we not know?" No one had an answer. In the Great Hall of the Galactic Council, the 12 elder species gathered for an emergency session. They had seen the recordings. They had read the reports. They had watched humanity transform from a quiet, peaceful species into something terrible and unstoppable. High Counselor Zereth sat in his floating chair, his many eyes dim with shock. 3 days ago, he had laughed at humanity's withdrawal from the peace accords. He had called them harmless. He had said they pose no threat to anyone. He was not laughing now. "What have we done?" He whispered to no one in particular. "What have we awakened?" The question hung in the air, unanswered. But everyone in the chamber knew the truth. They had ignored humanity's pain. They had dismissed humanity's pleas for justice. They had taught humanity that peace was worthless, that only power mattered. And now humanity had shown them what real power looked like. The emergency session of the Galactic Council was the largest gathering in 1,000 years. Every elder species sent their highest representatives. Every chair was filled. The great crystal hall hummed with nervous energy as beings from across the galaxy tried to understand what had just happened. "Hi." Counselor Zirith called the meeting to order, but his voice lacked its usual confidence. He had not slept since receiving the news from Vectory Space. Every time he closed his eyes, he saw the recordings. Human warships appearing from nowhere. Vectory stations dissolving into light. An entire military power erased in 4 hours. "We are here to discuss the human situation," Cyrus said. "As you all know, the species we considered harmless has revealed capabilities far beyond our estimates. We must decide how to respond." Ambassador Veleth of the Kryn stood immediately. His blue scales were pale with fear. "We must act now, before it is too late. We should combine our fleets and strike the human homeworld. Destroy them before they destroy us." Murmurs of agreement rippled through the chamber. Fear was spreading like a disease, and fear made people do stupid things. "Strike them with what?" asked Ambassador Morith of the Solari. She was ancient, even by her species' standards, and she had seen many wars. The humans just defeated the Vectory in 4 hours. The Vectory had one of the strongest militaries in the galaxy. "Do you think our combined forces could do better?" "We have numbers," Veleth insisted. "If all 12 species contribute their full military strength, we would have numbers," Morith agreed. "But the humans have weapons we have never seen before. They have stealth technology that made 2,000 warships invisible. They have the ability to destroy targets without any defense being possible. And that is only what they chose to show us. What else are they hiding?" The chamber fell silent. Everyone understood her point. Humanity had been hiding their true power for 3 centuries. What other secrets did they have? Zirith turned to his intelligence director, a thin Aldani named Sereth, who specialized in analyzing other species. "Tell us what you have learned," Zirith commanded. Sereth stood and activated a display screen. Images appeared showing human history, wars, weapons, the terrible things humans had done to each other before they reached the stars. "We made a critical error in our assessment of humanity," Sereth began. "We saw their peaceful behavior over the past 3 centuries and assumed it reflected their nature. We were wrong. It reflected their choice." He showed images of ancient human battles. Soldiers charging into certain death. Cities burning. Weapons that could destroy entire nations. Humans are not naturally peaceful. They are naturally violent. Extremely violent. Their history is filled with wars more brutal than anything in our records. They developed nuclear weapons devices capable of destroying their own planet, and they almost used them on themselves multiple times. The counselors shifted, uncomfortably in their seats. When humans joined galactic civilization, they made a deliberate decision to suppress their violent tendencies. They believed that cooperation and friendship were better paths than conquest. They wanted to be good neighbors. They wanted peace. Sereth paused, letting his words sink in. But they never forgot what they were capable of. They never stopped preparing for the possibility that peace might fail. While they smiled and talked and traded with us, they were secretly building the most advanced military the galaxy has ever seen. Not because they wanted to use it, but because they knew they might have to. Why did we not know about this? Veleth demanded. Our spies should have detected their preparations. They did not want us to know, Sarah said simply. So we did not know. Human deception capabilities are remarkable. They showed us exactly what they wanted us to see, and we believed it because it was what we wanted to believe. A peaceful, harmless species posed no threat to us, so we never looked closely enough to see the truth. Ambassador Morris spoke again. So we are dealing with a species that is naturally violent, deliberately deceptive, and currently in possession of military technology that exceeds our own. Is that your assessment? Yes. And we provoked this species by allowing an ally to murder 4 million of their people without consequence. Yes, Morth made a sound that might have been a laugh or a sigh. Then, we are fools, and we are fortunate that humanity seems interested in limited punishment rather than galactic conquest. Fortunate? Vela spat. They destroyed an entire species' military capability in a single day. How is that fortunate? Because they could have done the same to us, Morris said. All of us. But they chose not to. They attacked only military targets. They left civilian infrastructure intact. They made no demands for territory or tribute. They delivered their punishment and stopped. A species like the Vecthory would have kept going until nothing remained. The chamber fell silent again. Slowly, the truth began to sink in. Humanity was not like the other predator species of the galaxy. They were something new, something different, something that could have destroyed everyone but chose not to. That made them more frightening, not less. What do we do? Asked the Tharn ambassador, a being of living stone. How do we respond? Before anyone could answer, a message arrived. Ambassador Elena Marsh of Humanity was requesting permission to address the council. Zareth felt his heart pound faster. The human ambassador. The woman he had dismissed so casually just weeks ago. The woman whose species had just demonstrated power beyond anything the council possessed. Should we allow her to speak? Asked Veleth nervously. What if this is a trap? A trap for what? Morth asked dryly. If they wanted to destroy the council, they would not need to send an ambassador to do it. Zareth gathered his courage. Let her in, he said. Let us hear what humanity has to say. The great doors of the chamber swung open, and Elena Marsh walked in alone. She wore simple clothes and carried no weapons. She looked tired and sad, like someone who had been through a long and painful journey. But when she reached the speaking platform and looked up at the assembled counselors, there was something in her eyes that made even the bravest among them look away, that it was not hatred. It was not triumph. It was simply certainty. The certainty of someone who knew exactly what they were capable of and was no longer afraid to show it. Thank you for seeing me, Elena said. We have much to discuss. Elena stood on the speaking platform where she had stood so many times before. The crystal walls rose around her, catching starlight from 1,000 different suns. Above her floated the chairs of the 12 elder species, arranged in a circle that was supposed to represent equality and cooperation. She had once believed in that symbol. She had once thought this place represented the best hopes of galactic civilization. Now, she knew it represented nothing but power and fear. Honored counselors, she began, her voice echoing through the silent hall. I come before you not as a petitioner seeking justice. We have already delivered our own justice. I come to explain what has changed and what will happen next. High Counselor Zareth leaned forward in his chair. His many eyes studied her with a mixture of fear and fascination. You have made your point, he said carefully. The Vecthory have been punished. Surely now we can discuss returning to normal relations. Elena smiled, but there was no warmth in it. Normal relations? You mean the relations where humanity smiled and nodded while stronger species did whatever they wanted. The relations where we trusted the Council to protect the innocent, and the Council protected only the powerful? Those relations are over, Counselor. They ended when your ruling told us that 4 million dead humans were acceptable losses. She paused, letting the silence stretch. For 300 years, we chose to be peaceful. We chose to believe that cooperation was better than conflict. We chose to trust that the galaxy would treat us fairly if we treated the galaxy fairly. We were patient. We were kind. We were everything you claimed to value in your speeches and treaties. Her voice hardened. And you taught us that patience is weakness. You taught us that kindness is stupidity. You taught us that the only thing the galaxy respects is power. So now we will speak in the only language you understand. She placed a small device on the podium. A holographic display appeared, showing a document written in every language of the Council. These are humanity's new terms for galactic relations. They are not suggestions. They are not requests. They are the conditions under which we will allow this council to continue existing. Gasps echoed through the chamber. Ambassador Veleth rose from his chair in outrage. You dare to threaten us? You dare to dictate terms to the Galactic Council? Yes, Elena said simply. We dare. Would you like to know why? She pressed a button and the display changed. It showed a map of the galaxy with human fleet positions marked in red. There were thousands of them. Tens of thousands. Ships hidden in asteroid fields and nebulae. Ships patrolling the empty spaces between stars. Ships watching every major world of every major species. Because we can, Elena said. Because while you were congratulating yourselves on your power and wisdom, we were preparing for the day when power and wisdom would be needed. We have weapons you cannot defend against. We have ships you cannot detect. We have soldiers who have trained their entire lives for wars we hoped would never come. She let them look at the map for a long moment. We do not want conquest. We have no interest in ruling other species. We do not want tribute or territory. What we want is simple. Justice. Real justice, not the kind that protects the strong and abandons the weak. She gestured to the document on display. From this day forward, any species that commits atrocities against civilian populations will face consequences. Not in 6 months of deliberation. Not after years of legal arguments. Immediately. We will be the consequence that makes predators think twice before attacking the helpless. You would make yourselves judges over the entire galaxy? Zyreth asked. No. We would make ourselves the enforcement that your council has always lacked. You may continue to pass your rulings and write your treaties. But when those rulings fail and those treaties are broken, when innocent people are murdered and the powerful escape punishment, we will step in. And if we refuse your terms? Asked Ambassador Morth, though she already knew the answer. Then the council ends today, Elena said. Every species returns to their own territory and defends themselves as best they can. And the galaxy becomes what it was before the council existed, a place where only the strong survive. The chamber was silent. Every being present understood what was being offered. It was not slavery. It was not conquest. It was something stranger and more unsettling. Humanity was offering to become the galaxy's guardian. Whether the galaxy wanted one or not, Zyreth looked at his fellow counselors. He saw fear in their eyes. Fear of humanity, yes, but also fear of what the galaxy would become without some kind of order. The council had been weak and corrupt, but it had been something. Without it, there would be nothing but chaos. What guarantees do we have? He asked slowly. What prevents humanity from abusing this power? Elena considered the question carefully. Nothing, she said honestly. Nothing except our own conscience and the fact that we never wanted this responsibility in the first place. We wanted to be your friends. We wanted to be your partners. We wanted to believe in the dream of a peaceful galaxy working together. Her voice softened, and for a moment the tired, sad woman she had been for weeks showed through the mask of strength. You destroyed that dream. You taught us that the galaxy does not deserve our trust. But we are still who we are. We will try to be fair. We will try to be just. And if we fail, if we become the monsters we fought against, then perhaps another species will rise to stop us, as we have risen to stop you. She stepped back from the podium. You have 1 hour to decide. Accept our terms or watch the council dissolve. The choice is yours. She walked out of the chamber without looking back. The councilors argued for 57 minutes. Some wanted to fight. Some wanted to flee. Some wanted to pretend this was all a bad dream that would go away if they ignored it. But in the end, there was only one real choice. Humanity had the power to destroy them, and humanity was offering them a chance to survive. The terms were accepted. In the centuries that followed, the galaxy changed in ways no one had expected. Wars became rare because aggression meant facing human intervention. Weak species found protection they had never had before. Trade flourished. Science advanced. Slowly, grudgingly, the galaxy began to resemble the peaceful community that humanity had always hoped it could be. But the humans never forgot the lesson they had learned. Trust is earned, not given. Peace is maintained through strength, not wishes. And sometimes the only way to protect the innocent is to become the thing that evil fears. They had wanted to be friends. The galaxy had made them into guardians. Instead, in standing watch over 100 billion stars, humanity made sure that nothing like New Cascadia would ever happen again.